Let's explore autistic history and the Autism Wars. This is part 68 of a series. Oh boy, we left off in 97, and there was so much happening after the launch of Cure Autism Now. This parent-founded and run autism organization that was founded by John Shaystack, a movie producer, and his wife, Portia Iverson. Of course, both are parents of an autistic. And they took a couple of classes and they started networking. And, within 18 or 19 months of Cure Autism Now launching, it was just everywhere. It felt like, or it seemed like, in the autism community, everywhere was Cure Autism Now. It was on TV, it was in publications, it was on radio shows, it was everywhere. It was online. Newsweek ran a whole thing about how parents could go to Cure Autism Now online and connect with other parents and professionals. And so they're funneling all these parents in as fast as they can, as are the other autism organizations. They are all on this gathering goal with parents because it will help them when it comes to putting pressure on politicians and legislation and asking for money for research in the areas that these founders want for autism. But there's so much going on. I'm going to share with you here, Cure Autism Now. It is a July 1997 update, and it's going to talk about more of what they're doing behind the scenes, especially with things like the AGRE, the Autism Genetic Resource Exchange. This is a DNA database that's still in existence today. So in July 97, Cure Autism Now was 19 months old. They had raised over $500,000. That's really fast in 19 months for anybody, right? And they're currently, at that time in 97, funding, pay attention, funding pilot studies and think tank sessions. And they boast that they now have over 8,000 supporters. So there's the bullet points. They were also, they had also sponsored 2 conferences for parents and professionals in Los Angeles, one featuring Dr. Ricky Robinson, to learn about the latest biological interventions and research. These conferences were attended by over 700 people. And then they did it again, another one with different doctors. But you get the idea. They're funneling in parents online. They're funneling them in these community groups. They're bringing them in on conferences. This is a pattern. They're scheduling other conferences for autism biomedical researchers in different states. And some brainstorm sessions, and this is where it gets a little interesting, because what comes out of some of these brainstorm sessions, we're still seeing out in existence today, but this is, let's just read. All right, it says here, Cure Autism Now held its first brainstorm session in Los Angeles in May 1996, an all-day seminar with experts in autism and related fields of neurology, metabolic genetics, immunology, etc. Researchers exchanged data. New research projects were generated. Collaboration on certain projects was agreed upon, and some of the scientists from outside the field decided to initiate autism research projects. Mind you, they don't have a lot of researchers in autism. This is not a big field yet. So they're drawing and enticing and bringing in researchers and scientists. So this is sort of that outreach, you see happening in this decade. The idea of a collaborative autism gene bank was first proposed at this meeting. And the gene bank is born. CAN has since held a series of mini workshops in Los Angeles, bringing together local researchers, clinicians, and newly interested investigators from UCLA and USC to compare findings and collaborate on new projects. Oh, we know who's in UCLA. Who's at USC? Ivar Lovaas is at UCLA. CAN is going to sponsor a neurology of autism think tank that year, and they're going to have pediatric neurologists and autism researchers from around the country, as well as NIH, that's National Institutes of Health here in America, federal thing, will be meeting for 2 days to present new findings, right? And establish a comprehensive neurological workup in autism. They don't even have like a standardized test, I think, at this point. So CAN has funded a brainstorm session to be held in Boston and led by Dr. Margaret Bowman, Bauman, the field's leading neuroanatomist. Big words. The meeting will bring together the best neurochemists, neurologists, and geneticists to help determine how best to use a small supply of autistic brain tissue. Autism Tissue Program, ATP. I bet you that's what this is about. And at the National Institutes of Mental Health, Cure Autism Now co-sponsored a 2-day Genetics of Autism conference held by NIMH in September of 1996, where experts in the field of autism genetics met with top geneticists from around the country. All agreed that the potential for genetic findings in autism and thus potential treatment were enormous. And now we're going to talk about CAN, the Autism Genetic Resource Exchange, or the AGRE. It says CAN is currently recruiting multiplex families, more than one family member affected by autism, being born autistic. All right. For our AGRE project, a gene bank made up of multiplex families for genetic research in autism. It is their goal to create a repository of 100 well-defined multiplex families, including immortalized cell lines and DNA samples, which will be made available to all qualified researchers worldwide. What does that even mean? And who are they handing it out to? And who are those folks? And I mean, that's further down the road. Let's talk about that later. We anticipate that the creation of Autism Genetic Resource Exchange, AGRE, will accelerate autism research dramatically by providing much needed samples to researchers from both within and outside the field of autism. Francis Collins, head of the Human Genome Project, remember this project, the Human Genome Project becomes really important in 2003 when a group of parents and professionals gather at the big celebration dinner for this and talk about autism. And there it seems that the real autism cabal is born, and you see a huge shift in the powers that be in the autism world, but we'll get to that later. That's coming up later. This is they're all trying to figure it out here first. So, and other prominent genetic researchers believe that autism is the most likely of all the neurobehavioral disorders to have gene or genes. The discovery of one or more genes in autism would lead directly to the identification of that gene's protein and thus open the door to investigating a treatment or a cure. Time cannot be wasted as the fields of genetics and gene therapy are exploding, and they are. Autism can and must be at the forefront of this new technology to reap the benefits and rewards our children so desperately need and reserve. These families can enroll in AGRE to receive more information, blah, 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 blah. This next section will go into what they figure the cost of disease study and their government relations up to this point, plus the NIH letter writing campaign that they held that brought in some research money. So I'm going to share that in the next video, and maybe a little bit about their visit to Washington, D.C. It's astounding how much came out of this first 18 months and is still happening today in just different organizations. And yeah. Thanks for exploring more autistic history with me.